This video warns Germany, China, India, Iran, Taliban, and the Pashtuns in Pakistan that action by any one of them against Punjabis in India or Pakistan will start the Third World War against all of them. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjeet Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. I am issuing this message urgently because I feel an attack from Afghanistan on Punjabis is imminent. Yesterday, on August 26, 2021, ISIS-K, or the Afghanistan wing of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, Khorasan, used two suicide bombers and gunfire at the Kabul International Airport gate and a hotel nearby to kill 13 US military personnel and wound 18 others. This was the deadliest attack on US forces in a decade. In the same attacks, about 95 Afghans were killed and more than 100 wounded. President Biden stated that ISIS-K was behind the attacks and that more attacks are expected. ISIS-K has been behind some of the most brutal attacks in Afghanistan, targeting schoolgirls and maternity wards. For example, on May 8, 2021, ISIS-K attacked a school for girls in Kabul that killed at least 68 people, wounding more than 165, most of them girls from the Hazara Shiite Muslim ethnic community, targeted by the Sunni ISIS-K. In May 2020, ISIS-K attacked a Hazara maternity clinic, killing 24 mothers, newborns, and a healthcare provider. Traditionally, ISIS-K and the Taliban have been enemies because the members of ISIS-K have come from the ranks of Pakistani extremist groups, or they have been defectors from the Taliban because of ISIS-K's more violent methods and extremist ideology. I don't buy that traditional view. I'll give you the reason why shortly. But the key piece of information is that ISIS-K draws its membership mainly from Pashtuns in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Only the Pashtuns are common in both countries. Therefore, much of ISIS-K membership consists of Pashtuns, as does the Taliban membership. Even though ISIS-K fighters number only about 2,000, the narrative of the analysis is that because of the ISIS-K ability to launch deadly attacks, the group poses a threat to the Taliban and the Haqqani network affiliated with them. That's why ISIS-K and the Taliban are mortal enemies, competing for power and the nation's resources. That is a smoke screen. ISIS-K and the Taliban are not mortal enemies, though they may appear to be because they may have a skirmish here and there. Both groups target the Shia Hazaras and other minority groups. They are in fact allies. ISIS-K was formed around 2014 and came to be more widely known after 2015. Those dates are very significant. In 2014, Germany and China first tested the new directed energy weapon by bringing down Malaysian, Indonesian, Ethiopian, and Ukrainian Airlines passenger jets. After that, they were confident of taking on the United States, Britain, Japan, or any other combination of nations in a world war. Now they only needed to inveigle some nation or people to provoke a war with the United States to see how it would respond, so that they could then decide whether to jump in and start the world war. Creation of ISIS-K was one of their strategies to inveigle the Afghans to attack the Punjabis in Pakistan and India, particularly to exterminate the Sikhs. We have seen the script before, so the German strategy in helping the creation of ISIS-K is nothing new. First time the script, meaning repeat of tactics, was used comes from World War II in which British General Montgomery studied German General Rommel's strategies in North Africa. He then said that General Rommel repeats his tactics. General Montgomery made his defensive preparations using that knowledge and chased General Rommel out of North Africa. The example of the script that the Germans are repeating in Afghanistan comes from the Palestinian and Israeli conflict. The Germans promised Yasser Arafat that they would make him king of the Islamic world if he worked with them. They first tried to install him as king of Jordan when the Palestinians fought with Jordanians for control of the country. Then the Germans promised Lebanon to Arafat. He was booted out of there by the Israelis. Then the German masqueraders, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and Shimon Peres, inveigled their countrymen to allow Arafat to come to Israel and take over the Palestinian Authority. But the Germans still wanted to keep killing Jews in Israel. Arafat could no longer do that as he was now part of the Palestinian government. So Rabin and Peres created Hamas, ostensibly as a rival to the Palestinian Authority, but in reality there was no such thing. They did fight some skirmishes as a smoke screen, but the purpose of creating Hamas was to continue the violence and bloodshed against the Jews. The Germans are now repeating the same strategy by following the Palestinian-Israeli script. They have enabled the Taliban to come to power. Since the Taliban is in government now, it cannot justify violence and bloodshed against its own people who do not submit wholeheartedly to them, or to commit terrorist acts against their neighbors and around the world. ISIS-K was created for that purpose, just as Hamas was created to continue violence after the Palestinian Authority was given power. Thus, the narrative of the Taliban and ISIS-K being mortal enemies is a smokescreen. Both entities take their orders from the Germans and the Chinese. Now that we know the truth about the Taliban and ISIS-K, how can we view their terrorist attack on the United States servicemen at the Kabul airport? The Taliban control access to the airport with their heavily manned multiple checkpoints. There is no escaping the conclusion that the ISIS-K suicide bombers and the gunmen were deliberately allowed through the checkpoints to detonate their explosives and fire at soldiers and civilians. The Taliban is 100% responsible for the deaths and injuries caused and must be required to pay for the crime. So what are the next plans of the Germans, Chinese, Modi's India, consisting of the Gujarat, Rajasthan, Bengal, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra and Telangana states, and then Iran, Afghans and the Pashtuns of Pakistan? So what are their next plans after the Taliban has completely taken over? You will be shocked to know that the next planned event after the US withdraws completely and the Taliban take over is a missile attack on North India, particularly the greater Punjab area consisting of Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh states in India. The missiles could have nuclear or conventional warheads and could be used simultaneously by Iran, India and China. That would be followed by an attack by the Afghan and Pakistani Pashtun and or Iranian forces on North India. China could also send its forces in support. Therefore, I am issuing this urgent warning to all these nations and peoples. Any attack of any kind on the Punjabis of India or Pakistan, the United States, British Commonwealth nations and Israel by any one or more of the countries of Germany, China, Modi's India, Iran, Afghanistan and the Pashtuns of Pakistan will be treated as the start of war collectively by them. That would be subject to retaliation with nuclear and or conventional weapons on all of them. I emphasize, all countries in this coalition will be subject to retaliation by nuclear and or conventional weapons of our choosing. Each and every one of you have given us plenty of provocations to justify retaliation against one and all collectively. You have been warned. Again, I believe that the attack on Punjabis is imminent. This is how urgent this warning is. Now, this is how we will deal with the Taliban regime because of the attack at the Kabul airport. I hold the Taliban fully responsible for the attack on US military servicemen. We will retaliate against the Taliban and ISIS-K, but we can give them just one way of escape from US retaliation. We are giving the Taliban until September 11, 2021 to kill as many of the 2,000 ISIS-K members as they can and arrest the rest and then hand them over to the United States forces for their crime. If the Taliban fails to kill or arrest all ISIS-K members by the deadline of September 11, 2021, then we will retaliate for attacking US service members who were engaged in a humanitarian mission. My understanding is that ISIS-K is concentrated in the Nangarhar province of Afghanistan. It is likely that the US military can come up with a much better and more effective way to retaliate against ISIS-K and the Taliban. But I would like to offer a suggestion nevertheless. Drop a bomb like the Moab or the massive ordnance air blast or mother of all bombs on Nangarhar where ISIS-K is concentrated. Don't worry if there are some civilian casualties. Except the 250,000 who want to get out of Afghanistan, the rest of the Afghan population, particularly the Pashtuns, is with the Taliban and has dreams of creating an Afghan empire ruling over North India, Pakistan, South Africa, and possibly North Africa. Small collateral civilian damage to bring the ISIS-K and Taliban murderers to justice is justified. No nation can deliver a perfect surgical strike. Our overall goal is to utterly destroy ISIS-K, including its entire 2,000 members. Then the Taliban has to be brought to justice for its responsibility for the crime. I suggest a figure of killing 100 Taliban for each American and British casualty. Therefore, we must start by killing 3,000 of the Taliban in addition to all the ISIS-K fighters. Again, Moab type bomb or any other device can be used against cities or locations occupied by the Taliban to accomplish that. It's possible the Taliban may choose to retaliate. Then we will start using missiles to completely destroy Pashtun cities in Afghanistan one by one, in size that is in proportion to American and British casualties. I doubt if the Taliban or any other groups will dare again to take the lives of American, Britons or Jews or the lives of any of our allies for granted. Destroying whole cities with missile strikes will act as a very effective deterrent to stop the Taliban from killing Americans or any of our allies. I have said that any form of attack by any group or nation on our territory will be treated as a declaration of war by all nations and groups in the German-led alliance. Here are the reasons why no separate justification is needed to go to war with each of the nations. Against Germany, no separate additional justification is needed for going to all-out war with Germany because they have already cremated alive or medically murdered more than 10 million white Americans with the help of alliance partners, the German masqueraders. Their atrocities against us are too numerous to restate as they have already been provided in my other videos. Next, China. China has unleashed the coronavirus against the world, the initial purpose of which was to unleash it on the Punjabis to kill tens of millions. Now Modi of India has obliged them by allowing 5 million Indians to die of COVID-19 with his deliberate poor response to the pandemic. China has brought passenger airliners in which many Americans and other British Commonwealth nations people were killed. China has supplied India with its nuclear weapons. It has also supplied Iran with weapons. It is inciting the wars against us and supporting the nations that go to war against us in an alliance with Germany. China occupies Indian territory through acts of war and with the connivance of Modi. No additional provocation is needed to go to all-out war with China. Next, Modi's India. Modi's India has already given plenty of provocations to the Punjabis, as described in detail in North India's Declaration of Independence in my video dated December 29, 2020. His atrocities against the Punjabis, particularly the Sikhs, continue unabated. Now, Iran has been the greatest Islamic terror supporting nation on earth, directed mostly against American, British, Commonwealth nations and the Jews. It is supporting the Taliban. If Taliban attacks us, Iran will be held fully responsible. Next, Pashtuns of Pakistan, in alliance with the Germans, have attacked India and the Punjabis 3 times since India's independence, as described in detail in parts 1, 2, and 3 of my recent videos titled Bad Hombres of Afghanistan. First attack came soon after India's independence from Britain in 1947 concerning Kashmir. The second attack occurred in 1965 and the third attack came in 1971 during the British-Bangladesh Liberation War. No further provocation is needed to go to war with them if they attack us or part of an alliance that attacks us. Next, Afghanistan, by attacking us, will give us the provocation we need to attack them. Thus, if Punjabis or any other allies are attacked by any one of these groups or nations, no further provocation is needed for us to go out to all-out war with them. Therefore, let me reiterate my warning to Frank-Walter Steinmeier of Germany, Xi Jinping of China, Narendra Modi of India, Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, Imran Khan of Pakistan, and Mullah Abdul Ghani, brother of Afghanistan. If any one of you attacks the Punjabis in Pakistan or India or any of our allies, the United States, British Commonwealth nations, and Israel, it means all-out war against all of you. We are anticipating this attack on us imminently. If Pashtuns supported by Iranians or Indians attack us, Germany and China, we are not going to let you watch from the side to see what happens. You will be our number 1 and 2 largest targets immediately to retaliate with all the weapons at our disposal, including nuclear weapons. You have now been warned. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos and read my articles on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels, Unmasked Truth with Harmanjeet Saini, to view and get information on the latest videos. You can also find the text of my videos on my Facebook channel.